patrimony while promoting the game of American football in Cameroon through business cooperation and development ties. Back to you, Abel.
Thank you very much, Finwick Crispin. We set the ball rolling for our magazine.
It's a If only you knew how much I love you, baby boo. I will die for you, I will die for you, baby, that's the truth. You take me for one corner, and before I know, suffer finish for me, oh, I like it, and baby, you're my cover. I wanna let them know you're a blessing to me, oh, I love it. Alors mon amour, je suis fière d'être avec toi. Dès le début, tu m'as soutenu à chaque fois. Je vais chanter pour toi. Je veux pleurer pour toi. Je veux danser pour toi. Je veux prier pour toi.
Thank you very much, Rumiale Kume. We are just joining us this Royal English News Magazine, and it is time for us to move into our magazine. Like I said, the Cameroon woman in the past was orchestrated and forced to play the role of a domestic servant in our society. Many were forced into early marriage without their consent. The level of education was very low. Very few were allowed to engage into political activities because of the laws put in place by the government at that time. Dr. Willibrod Zengwa is a historian and a political scientist. He looks at the Cameroonian woman after independence.
Many laws were put in place that hampered the woman from getting involved in politics. For example, women could not travel, women could not have access to loans, women could not have access to land. So all of these things will perturb them from engaging actively in politics. But I think that when it started right, it went wrong, and things are being placed again in the right track for the women to be much more engaged in politics because things are put at their disposal.
Today, the Cameroon woman has emancipated greatly. Dr. Bridget Niba is a researcher at the Faculty of Science at the University of Yaoundé 1, and she is a woman leader.
The Cameroonian woman has come a long way. First of all, in the past, a woman could not travel abroad for any genuine purpose without the consent of the husband. Nowadays, it is very possible. Secondly, a woman could not have an independent profession from the husband. And then female genital mutilation that used to demean the dignity of the woman and used to bring severe consequences, psychological and physical consequences on the woman, are punishable now by law. Adultery also, presently, according to the new penal code, has the same punishment for a woman and a man, irrespective of the venue of offense. In the past, there used to be eviction. A man could evict a spouse, especially women were more vulnerable to this, without any fear of any punishment. Presently, a spouse is punished if that spouse evicts another spouse from the matrimonial home. In the past, we used to have very few women in government, very few women in elective positions. But nowadays, there are many female ministers, many female parliamentarians, female DOs.
And women today compete with men for top jobs in the society. Stronger political ladies keep emerging. Honorable Emilia Lifaka Munjora is one of the vice president of the National Assembly. She now looks at the presentation of women in the glass house.
Today we are 63. In the next legislature, why not? We should be 100. I know the men will be asking whose place do we want, but I think that the more the women come on the decision-making table, the more and better society we are going to build. Because by our very nature, women are conciliatory, women are peace-loving, women are the foundation of every family because they are the first teacher, the first doctor, the first pastor to her family. So the more we come to the table, the better the world is going to be.
As the Cameroon women are heightening our preparation to join their peers worldwide to commemorate the International Women's Day, our reporter Jementa caught up with some women to find out the perception they have of Women's Day and how they do intend to celebrate and observe the day. She sampled their view in the following report.
The perception of Women's Day by women varies from one lady to another. However, some women believe there is a whole idea behind the International Women's Day.
I think Women's Day is a very good initiative, and it's a day where women should come together and reason and do workshops and do some exchange about life, about the family, about the society. But unfortunately, many women are taking that day for granted because that day, instead of them to reason about how to take care of the society, to be a model, they rather go to the beer parlor and drink and forget about themselves.
This promoter further asks how she intends to observe the Women's Day.
For the fact that there is not official celebration this year because of COVID, but on the 7th of March, we are having a women gospel concert where I'm invited to perform. And we just thought that women should gather themselves. We should gather ourselves and lift up our voices unto God. And that is the aim of this concert. And that is all I will do during the Women's Celebration Day.
Others have a good definition of Women's Day, contrary to the number of parties women undergo during that day.
It's a normal day for me. The woman is a very important entity in the society, so I think on that day, normally we should organize activities around women, like sexuality for the young girl, just to improve, educate the young girl, the women, because we realize that on those days, women do a lot of, let me call it, disorder. So at least it should be a day when women realize that it's not because they have given them a day, particular day, that they will take it to do disorder.
According to some women, observing the International Women's Day doesn't mean to bestow their duties on men.
It's not about cooking or asking their husband to buy them the Women's Day loin, but it's just to demonstrate that they are equally human and they have some rights and duties.
How am I going to celebrate the Women's Day? Simple, indoors with my friends, 2 or 3 friends, though I don't have so much friends and my son as well. Why am I not going to go out as others? Due to this COVID-19 out there, it's better I stay indoors with my.
As these women share the same point of views, it's worth noting that the day in the first place is to show to the world the value women have and the role they play in improving our society.
Jementa in that report, and a lot of activities has been organized on these days to mark the 36th edition of the International Women's Day. And one of such activities is at the level of the National Assembly, where the National Assembly has paid tribute to women leadership by organizing an exhibition at the Esplanade of the National Museum. The exhibition, which will run for a month and is featuring a photo gallery comprising different women who have served in Parliament, portrait of women who have left their mark in the political life of Cameroon's Parliament, and the progress made in promoting women's representation and participation in decision-making process in Parliament. The exhibition falls under the framework of week-long activities organized across the country to mark the 36th edition of the International Women's Day. Another activity is the 3rd edition of the Digital Women Festival that has started in Yaoundé. Minister Minette Lidikeng of Post and Telecommunication, while chairing the activities, call on women and young girls to take advantage of technology to boost their business in time of COVID-19. This year's theme is Digital Technology and Women in Leadership, Archiving an Equal Future in the COVID-19 war. Let's now listen to Minister Minette Lidikeng of Post and Telecommunication in the following soundbite.
This festival is very important when we are all prepared to celebrate International Women's Day. You know, with ICT, young girls and women are left behind. So this festival will help for promotion of the use of ICT by young girls. This caravan will move through universities to encourage young girls to be involved in digital activities for the benefit of our world. You know, we women, we are more than men. And if the women and young girls are really involved in ICT, we will better fight that pandemic of COVID-19. Women in Tech Association is one of the key actors of promotion of the use of ICT in our country, and I hope that young girls will really be involved in ICT activities, and we will challenge all what we have before us.
And still talking about activities to mark the International Women's Day, the annulment of the March Pass on Women's Day has affected some enterprises. Taking the case of Renapro Finance SA, the female workers will experience a new way of commemorating the day. Ms. Rosemary Ngwanyu Niba is a member of the Friendly Dynamic Women of Renapro Finance SA. She expressed herself on the preparedness at the level of Renapro for the D-Day.
I really feel bad because as usual we always go out for fun, we eat, we drink for the past years. But this year in particular it's been cancelled due to COVID-19 and I'm really reluctant. I really feel sad about all this. The activities Renapro Finance SA put in place for her women has been sustained, but Renapro Finance SA has given her women a certain sum in order to organize their own 8th March at home. Though it's not going to be celebrated, but we are going to be supplied with materials, so we are going to use it even later just to have a remembrance of that day. So I think it's a very good idea in order to respect the measures put in place by the head of state, and due to this we really thank the dynamic women of Renapro Finance SA for all their efforts.
The theme for the 36th edition of the International Women's Day will be celebrated under the theme Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World. And in line with this, our reporter Jementa inquired from some women about their awareness of this theme and if their problem is as women are reflected in the theme. Take a listen to them speak in the following Vox Pop.
Actually, I don't know the team.
I'm not aware of the team.
I've not gotten about the team already. Don't know the team. Okay, actually, given to the fact that we are already in the period of the corona issue, the team really ties to, the pandemic that we are going through now, because before now it was calm, but lately, like some weeks back, we got that the thing is again alarming and that everyone should be careful. So the team is actually, it ties. And given to the fact that women need to be dependent, they need to work hard in self-love and all of that.
Yes, women can be facing because we are the mothers of tomorrow. So when it affects the children, it will affect the future. So as a mother, you have to be at watch and alert to always be at watch about the corona. Because when you save your children from the corona, you protect them from the corona, the future will be brighter than what we think, if I can say.
And our reporter Mapala Zita spoke with an expert in the person of Madame Victorine to find out the significance and the importance of this term as we celebrate the 36th edition of the International Women's Day.
Women in leadership, achieving an equal future in a COVID-19 world. This simply means women are the first instructors. They are the first teachers. Women are the first spiritual leaders. And women also are our ever first role models, and above all, women are mothers. Mothers of humanity whose leadership position is always automatic and genuine in giving their kids and the whole of humanity a better and clearer future, especially during this period of COVID-19, through their teachings, instructions, and exemplary actions and behavior.
Let us now look into everyday activities of a Cameroonian woman, and to this effect, our newsroom followed the daily hustling of a young woman at the Fundi market by name Yvette, who says doing her small business and raising her family is not an easy task, and Mapala Zita is a lady on that beat.
Yvette gets up as early as 4 a.m. not to rush to the markets like most market women generally called Bayam Salam, but to do her morning devotion. For her, godliness comes first, and that is what she instills in her children.
I get up early as 4 a.m. in the morning. I first of all study the word of God myself alone in my room. So I wake up the children. We sing praise and worship together at 5 o'clock. We pray to explain to them that when the word of God that we study is God himself. So you have to be very careful the way you do your things, because as we are here, God is there. So at around 5:30, I'll leave now to my business. I do sell crayfish.
After making sure everything is set for her kids to go to school, Yvette leaves for the market where she sells crayfish, the market which is a whole jungle on its own.
No, it's not easy because now crayfish is too expensive now, so there's no market. Because a pocket of crayfish that was 2,000, now it's 5,000. So when you take customer a small quantity like that, small for 500, the customer will be complaining. So we even left and go, then that is too expensive. So the market is not there. Actually, now market is not there. So we are struggling because it's not easy. It's not good to stay in the house.
Our woman of the day has a multitude under her care, but that does not seem to worry her.
As a wife, I had 7 children, and other children are living with me. So altogether, we are living 16 of us in the house. So when I close, I leave the house at 5. I come to the market. Later it's 11. I've already closed. I'm going back now to start work. If there's something for me to do, I will do them. Keep place in order. I cook before the children come back from school. I cannot stay in the market because I have children to look after.
Despite her busy days in the market, this family woman still makes out time for the follow-up of her children and especially their Christian life.
When I go back, that I will have time to see if the children need something. So that is how I program myself, that let me not stay in the market. Let me leave early at 11 latest or 12 on Saturday because there is market, to go and prepare against Sunday. Arrange my things in the night before Sunday morning when I'm going to church, because you must go to church. So I prepare all my things in the night before Sunday morning. I just bathe and make sure that I should be in church.
She has an advice for other young women out there who complain every day of not having a job.
It's always good to start somewhere. I believe so much in prayers and the word of God. So if you have just 1,000 francs, you say, well, Father, this is all I had. I don't want to do prostitution. I don't want to steal or do any ungodly thing. What can I do with this 1,000? Help me to do something. I know that with 1,000 you cannot do a business now. Even to cook, you cannot feed yourself with 1,000. God will show you the way out.
Words from a strong African woman.
Thank you very much, Mapala Zita, for that wonderful report.
You're most welcome, Abel.
As Mapala Zita unseat herself, I welcome Ben Emmanuel into the studio. Good afternoon to you, Emmanuel.
Good afternoon, Abel, Bela Samari.
Emmanuel, gone are the days where we say women are good for nothing. But you says that women have invaded the world of sport and have made considerable achievement in recent time. And over the years, the number of female athletes, regardless of their discipline, has risen as a factor that cements the nation that there has been a need to improvement. There has been a net improvement in the development of sports from the women. And in the following write-up, Ben Emmanuel, you look into some of these achievements and say it is encouraging, although much remains to be done.
Exactly, women have been relegated to the background. However, of recent there has been a net amelioration to some stereotype attitudes which left some, if not many of them, battered and neglected beyond reasonable measure. Several years ago, it was pretty difficult to associate women and sports, no matter the discipline, but the narrative has greatly changed. In fact, in some parts of the world, women have played a tremendous role and hit groundbreaking records which have elevated the status of the respective nations. In Cameroon, for instance, women have risen up to the challenge despite facing a plethora of challenges on their path. They can be found in several disciplines, regardless of how daunting it could be. In fact, these challenges have only helped to further inspire them to set the bar high and in some cases have achieved unprecedented success. For example, football, largely regarded more of a religion than just of a mere discipline, has enjoyed great moments with women. The indomitable Lionesses, for instance, are on the verge of qualifying for their second Olympic Games in Tokyo, Japan this year. Also, they have a record of 2 World Cup stints in 2015 and 2019. It's needless to mention that they are one of the most celebrated nations in Africa. Besides them, the country can boast of world-class players who have been the pride of the nation at the European and continental scene. Some of them include Chot-Njoya Jara, Gabriel Abudi-Ongene, and Raisa Focho. They have further inspired a new cast of generational talent like Nga Manga, Tape Brenda, and others who are set to take up the challenge. In athletics, new names and champions have emerged. It is no longer an affair of Sarah Lyonga Esombe, Queen of the Mountain. Athletics teenage sensation Midget Kitang dethroned Tata Karin for the top prize during the 26th edition of the Mount Cameroon Race of Hope. At only 25, her story confirms the evolution of women at the prestigious athletics event. There is not so much difference in judo, with Cameroon's international judoka Hortense Vanessa Mbala Tangana crowned African judo champion. In 2020, she backed home a bronze award from the Grand Slam in Düsseldorf in Germany. The 28-year-old has been greatly outstanding, having defended her nation's colors in every competition she has featured in. We have several other individual athletes who have gained steam and tipped as future national pride. In tennis, for example, Cameroon's twin sisters, Linda and Manuela Elundu, have changed the perception of tennis in Cameroon. Despite being front runners in the sport, they have battled to impose themselves in amongst other athletes who have emerged on various world talent scenes. The story is similar with basketball, handball, volleyball, and even rugby, plus American football. Women are keen to leave their mark in all of these disciplines in the most outstanding fashion. Despite the strides, women are now focused on taking up leadership positions, especially referees, coaches, and other key positions. Not that they don't feature in any amongst these categories, but the numbers may not be impressive. The development of women and sport in Cameroon is therefore a story of patience, hard work, and unrivaled determination. Above all, it is a quest to conquer, regardless of the challenges.
Ben Emmanuel Kum in that write-up. And our guest this today on Royal English News Magazine is a gender and peace activist who has been promoting women's rights for over 25 years in all areas. She is a lecturer in the University of Buea and very present on the field when it comes to speaking up for women. Our reporter Promise Akante had a chat with our guest. He begins by introducing our guest of the day.
Madam Eileen Tabue Afo, good afternoon. You're welcome to Royal English News Magazine.
Thank you very much, Promise. I'm happy to be here this afternoon with you.
You are one of the very vocal and very present women on the scene when it comes to talking of for women. How do you feel knowing that the 8th of March is a few hours away from us?
8th March is always a day that reminds us of all that women have been through, all that women have achieved, and all that is still ahead of us. I think it's always very pertinent every year that around the 8th of March we keep reminding ourselves of the challenges that are still ahead of us. I'm just coming from a working session where we're trying to look at some of the legal issues that affect women in terms of their rights, in terms of their access, in terms of their benefits to every sphere of life, like politics, economics, and even marriage. So for me, the meaning of the day, is so intense because we have to critically assess the partnerships that women have been making over the years with one another and also with other kinds of people and organizations. And then we look at that to begin to, project, for instance, where we are going to from here. What have we achieved and where we are going to? What is the direction of our achievements? Because when we talk of achievements, we need to be able to say that these achievements are concrete, and these achievements are beneficial to all women and not just to some class of women, and that these achievements are also permanent, so that we don't go forward and backward. Today we say we have succeeded, tomorrow you see we move 10 steps backwards. So basically that is just what it calls to mind when we think of March 8th.
We are in the 36th edition of Women's Day, and means that it's for 36 years we've been celebrating at least. A girl at 36 is a grown-up woman. Can we say that women have become mature in their way of celebrating International Women's Day?
I would not say completely, because I think we still have for the past years, apart from when we had the coronavirus and people are restricting their activities, but I think that we still have a lot of women who misinterpret what Women's Day is all about. We still have cases of women fighting over fabric, having quarrels with their husbands at home over the fabric. We still have cases of women who would prefer to spend their time drinking in bars, getting drunk, sleeping out at night. We still have a lot of cases of women who misbehave, as I would put it, on Women's Day, and that is not, for me, a true representation of what the value of the woman is and what the worth of that day is. So we cannot always expect everybody to be on the same page. But when we keep seeing activities more towards capacity building for women, more towards women achieving all the market women we have in Cameroon are economically independent. Okay, there are women in more and more professions right now. I think the women's economic empowerment has really been a very strong support for women, because if you notice, many girls now have opportunities to go to school through the support of their mothers. So we used to have this high disparity between boys and girls. But we realize that the more women who can earn an income, the more girls who also have opportunity to go to school, because their mothers directly, support them in achieving their education. So it's really interesting. And beyond, just having an income, we also realize that there's a diversity in the kinds of work that women are doing right now. Yes, we have young women who are getting into motor mechanic, very interesting, though rare. Electricity. Electricity. We have young women who are getting into building, construction. I met a young girl in Yaoundé who was doing staffing for a hotel, and I was so fascinated because it's a profession that she picked up from the father, and I actually saw her doing the job, not like, so there are many more young women whose minds are exposed to the different kinds of jobs that they can do nowadays. So economically, they are becoming so empowered.
And then one very sensitive point is politics. Do we think that we are achieving more women in politics?
In politics, I'm a little bit skeptical. The growth rate of women in politics, I should say, is one of the most disappointing that I can talk of, because we have a particular quota that have been determined. The husband dies, they usually go there and take charge, of the widowhood rights, and they actually succeed to prevent those other women in the villages from actually carrying out all those negative widowhood rights on women. And the next point that I want to raise is that, culture works within a certain context, but culture also evolves. So the more women who are enlightened, the more the culture evolves. So it's not stagnant. That's why you realize that a woman who comes from a particular village, who is educated, who is economically empowered, will not have the same treatment as a woman who who is not educated and who is not economically empowered. So there are usually differences in the application of those widowhood rights based on how empowered the woman is, and also based on how strong her network is. But I believe generally that in most cases nowadays we hardly have cases of women complaining so much of widowhood rights. And when you look at the situation of the Northwest and Southwest right now with the current crisis, how many women have the capacity to go insist on those rights when they are either running away from gunshots or running away from one kind of trouble or the other? So you realize that the context has really changed to the extent that for now some of those things have been put on hold.
Let's come back to the theme of this year's edition of International Women's Day. Talk about women in leadership positions.
Yeah.
Let's look at the number of ministerial positions we have in Cameroon, the number of MNAs, the number of senators. Can we comfortably say that this theme reflects what we want to see in Cameroon, like having more women in leadership positions?
Definitely not, especially when we consider that women make up the majority of the population. But what I would tell you is that women don't have to sit and wait for power to be given to them. If you want to be in a leadership position, you have to go out there and get it. Okay, you have to do what it takes to be part of that structure. And one of the things that women have to understand is that they have to be supportive of one another. They have to be supportive of other women. If you look at what is happening nowadays, there's a lot of support, from the women folk towards one another in trying to push them up. But I will also admit that the structures that we had in place before, the structures that were in place made it possible for more men to be in leadership positions. And honestly, nobody wants to give away their power. Okay, so it has to be a tussle. Eventually, it has to be a tussle in terms of competence, in terms of capacity, in terms of the capacity to get out there and get the job done. So when we talk about women in leadership positions, we also have to understand that women are a lot more in leadership positions when it comes to the non-public sector, to the private sector, for instance. You would realize that in the private sector, lots of NGOs are headed by women. Lots of businesses, more businesses are headed by women. But in the public sector, we still have a structure that is kind of closed and kind of closed up. And so I think there's a lot of work that still needs to be done there.
We are going to end up with a word from you to women who may be feeling disappointed that this year there will be no march past for them to display their colorful cabas and their hymns that they have sewn. If you were to advise them on how to celebrate this day apart from the march past and the euphoria?
What I would say is that they should be thankful that the march past was cancelled. Because honestly, for me, if the march past had been on goal like it was supposed to take place, I would feel very disappointed with a government that does not protect its women. So it's a very positive move. By saying that there is no celebration on 8th of March, the government is effectively taking care of its women by protecting them from the infection of coronavirus. I think we've seen a lot on the news about the new strain of the coronavirus, and we are getting a lot of cases of people we know who are dying of coronavirus. So it's logical for this celebration to be on hold, and since we've been struggling all year round, to manage our health, it's important for women to also admit that their lives are valuable. So I would simply tell them that they should value their life. If they cannot march on the 8th of March, they can sew their beautiful cabas, take pictures, and post on social media for people to see how those beautiful cabas look like. They can comfort a friend. They can look for some other activity to do, to show the value of a woman and her contribution to society. So the celebration should not be limited to March past.
And to the young girl listening to us who is hoping to be a woman tomorrow, she should lose hope, but she should be hopeful that she's going to. If she's a woman tomorrow, she will meet a more friendly society, and she should stay focused as a woman who has aspirations and that is going to look up to it.
Definitely. The girls of today will definitely meet a friendlier society tomorrow, because there's a lot of work that has been done by our mothers. There's a lot of work that we are doing now, and definitely our children will have different challenges. The challenges may not be same, they will be different, But I think that the landscape, would be better for them to function. They'll be able to participate in many more activities than we have done. And one thing I want to say, which is very important, is that they should understand that they cannot wait for tomorrow to start working. They have to start working today.
Right.
Okay, if you're a young girl today and you want to become a leader tomorrow, you have to ensure that you study hard today. You have to ensure that you create the right networks today. You have to ensure, that you put in the work that is required for you to be a leader tomorrow. So the work starts today and not tomorrow.
Madam Eileen Tabue, I want to thank you really very much for sparing us your time to be our guest on Royal English News Magazine today.
Thank you, Promise, and thank you to our listeners, and I wish everybody a happy Women's Day celebration from next week.
And with me in the studio is Suzanne Nayonge. Good afternoon to you, Suzanne.
Good afternoon, Abel.
We run up this magazine with this weekend that has turned of activities for people to learn, discover, and be entertained. Special focus on the weekend agenda is the Women Day activities.
Women, you have all the honors this weekend as there are lots of exciting activities for you. An online event dubbed Le Festival International de Danse au Féminin is currently going on. Also known as Mewungu, it will end tomorrow, so there is still a chance for dancing lovers to share their passion with others on their Facebook page. The event is hosted by Otni Laboratoire de Théâtre in Yaoundé. Also, the CamoFest Fashion and Modeling Seminar will be launched today at 5 p.m. precisely online with Facebook Live. The event hosted by CamoFest 2020 is aimed at consolidating female leadership in the fashion sector. Meanwhile, at Institut Français du Cameroun here in Yaoundé, the artist Gaël Wanji is performing live in a concert at 7 p.m. This concert is to commemorate women's rights. Just have a pass of 1,500 francs or 2,500 francs for entry. Then another artist, Emily Akosa, will release her new gospel album tomorrow while performing in a live concert. It will take place at the Yaoundé City Council and it is hosted by Gospel Promo. Entry is free. People too can go chill after work today at the Bunch Club in Santa Barbara in Yaoundé. Tickets are available starting today Friday and it will run to tomorrow. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., couples and singles can have a tour at Eco Park Ahala for an event dubbed Odyssée des couples et célibataires. Tickets are currently available and it is hosted by Serisa. Singles, you may find the one for you there, who knows? Lots of fun activities like canoe riding, games and others are on the show. On Sunday, there is an online event dubbed Don't forget to check out the films at Canal Olympia Yaoundé and Douala like Mama, Ray and the Last Dragon, and Shadows in the Cloud. Their hours of broadcast and the prices for your convenience are on there too. Hence, with such a loaded weekend, don't forget to tell a friend to tell a friend.
Hooray, c'est le weekend. C'est le weekend.
And it is with that hooray, it's the weekend that we wrap up this edition of Real English News Magazine. The team keeping you company this afternoon is made of Carol Pudan Center. We saw copyright Clark, Remeli Kumea sound engineer, Alain Kwekama, video editor on our Facebook page, Royal FM Cameroon. The news magazine was produced by Gementa with editorial question coming from Jean Passi and Tala. Coordination was done by on station